Welcome, everyone, to the May 14th, 2024 session for Fine Arts Missouri Educators. I'm Phyllis Paisley, the Executive Director for the Missouri Alliance for Arts Education, and glad you are here today. We're welcoming Jessica Ingraham, who wears many, many hats. One of is her connection to an organization called Different Dynamics, and I'm happy to hear about that as well in the course of things, if you want to share, Jessica. And she also wears a hat that has to do with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's Picture the Music program and Express the Music programs. So, welcome, Jessica, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Phyllis. I'm the director of education for the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. I guess I'll get to that in a sec. I am happy to mention a little bit about different dynamics, especially if we want to talk about that a little later. At Different Dynamics, we are a nonprofit located in St. Louis, Missouri. Our mission is to champion access to the life-changing power of music for people of all neurotypes and abilities. And we do that through a few different channels. So we have a music studio in Webster Groves where we offer classes um, for adults and eventually children with disabilities. And then we also have we also do a lot of community music making out in the St. Louis area, out in the community. And then we do teacher professional development. One of the things when I went and got uh, my bachelor's and my master's degree was unfortunately I took one special education class. That was it. And it just didn't prepare me for the world that I was walking into. So we partnered with a former music teacher from special school district, and we do teacher professional development. So if anyone's looking for some professional development opportunities, please let me know. And then I think our third bucket is that we work with organizations in the St. Louis area to help them produce, and we could work with organizations outside the St. Louis area too. We just probably couldn't be there, but to produce sensory friendly and sensory conscious productions. For example, we're currently working with Opera Theater. They're going to be producing their first sensory conscious main stage production at the Barber of Seville here in a few weeks, because Saturday, June 8th at 12:30. So very excited for that collaboration. But we come in and provide training for all of their staff, for the artists as well. We provide them with sensory supports and things like that as well, so that can make it a welcoming and safe environment for everybody to enjoy music. So that's
Thank, thank you so much, Jessica, for
yeah.
sharing that. What I want to make sure that our guests know about is examples, because I didn't understand really what that meant, sensory friendly, but it might be lighting changes or volume changes or other kinds of things to help um, a participant who is in need of those accommodations enjoy the performance so that it doesn't trigger some physical or emotional response within them. Would that be a succinct way of that?
That's a great way, yeah, to put it. Just adaptations, modifications to the concert environment and to the performance sometimes as well. And sometimes it's really just about preparing people too for what they're going to experience. So we'll usually do concert guides. We'll go to the dress rehearsal, watch the production, point out anything that might be triggering, that we should warn people about beforehand so they know. And I think the other kind of big part about it too is inviting people, because we could do all this work until the cows come home. But if we don't actually go out and invite people to come and experience it and to be part of our organizations, because I did a lot of research a couple years back, like 6 or 7 years back now, um, talking with parents that had children who had intellectual and developmental disabilities and asking, do you come to symphony performances? Do you go to the children's opera performance? How do you engage with the arts through our local organizations? And they just didn't. I had one parent say, that is not for us. And I went, oh no, that's a problem. The arts are for all. And so that's sort of what kind of spurred this. So Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing information about different dynamics. And if they wanted to get in touch with you about different dynamics, what would be the best web address or email address for them to use?
Yeah, my email address is jessica@differentdynamicsstl.org for that. And if you Google Different Dynamics, we should pop up, or differentdynamicsstl.org is our web address.
Thank you so much. So tell
Yeah.
us about the symphony and picture the music and all the other great things you do.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about Picture the Music. Picture the Music has been happening for many years. I should have looked up the number, but it's more than 30. I have not been in the position for 30 years, but it is actually our most, out of everything we do, it is our most participated in program. The numbers are huge. We have more than 20,000 kids every year that participate in this program. And so we're really excited to continue to share and grow the program. So tell us, how much time do I have to talk about Picture?
We are scheduled to end today by 5:30, so all you may have all of that time if you need it. You might not need it all.
Probably not. I'll keep it pretty, I mean, I'm gonna keep it pretty short, but um, so we call Picture the Music PTM, just for short, so we don't have to say Picture the Music every time. So if you hear me say PTM, that's what I mean. For people who aren't familiar with the program, it is a art competition for students in grades K-6. The students listen to a piece of music in school, most likely, and then they create paintings or drawings that are inspired by the music. So PTM basically fuses together like visual arts, music, and because it's music and art, social emotional learning is a huge part of that as well. So when teachers come to us and ask us about the program, we usually recommend art and music teachers collaborate and work together on it. I think students get the most out of that experience when those two experts in those fields can come together for that. We also recommend not telling students the name of the piece or anything about the piece really until they're pretty deep into the creative process. And it kind of sets it up for that idea of social emotional learning. If you tell the students a lot of times the name of a piece right off the bat, unless it's like Symphony No. 1, like we did the Olympic theme song from John Williams a few years ago. If you say that to kids, what are you going to get? The torch, the Olympic rings, right? They're going to associate it with something. But when the kids don't actually know what it is they're listening to, it actually opens up their imaginations more and gives them that freedom to really just create and find what's inside of them. So we do kind of recommend to teachers that they wait till way down in the creative process before they even breach who the composer is or what the name of the piece of music is. Because we're not necessarily looking for pieces of art inspired by the title of the work, but we're looking, we want to know what the students heard, what the students felt, and how that manifests through their artwork. So, out of all the submissions that come to us, we have a panel of judges. I think the majority of them are retired art teachers from the area, as well as some professional artists and usually some faculty from the University of Missouri St. Louis or retired UMSL faculty as well, and all in the arts department. And we've also had a judge from the St. Louis Art Museum as well in their education department. Our judges select 100 finalists who are then honored at an award ceremony. Next year's award ceremony is going to be at the Missouri Botanical Garden, which we just did it there this year, and it was just so beautiful. Families got to come and experience the gardens before the ceremony. It was wonderful. And then the artwork, those 100 finalists, their artwork goes on a traveling exhibit throughout pretty much the month of April through to the beginning of May. And it goes to some different locations around the St. Louis area. The last 2 years, we've been really lucky that the St. Louis Art Museum has partnered with us on this program. So the kids' artwork has been displayed in the St. Louis Art Museum. This past year, it was also at the Butterfly House, because the piece was related to butterflies. So it's really it's a cool experience, and I should have put together some pictures just to kind of share with people. I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier. But especially at that award ceremony, to see the parents bring the kids. Thank you. To see the parents bring the kids to this award ceremony, and just the pride on the students' faces when they're pointing out their pictures and telling their parents about, what they did and about their artwork. It's such a beautiful experience. So, did we get our new artwork up too? No, I think this was last year still. We're still working on that. But yeah, you can see a bit of the art. So just a little quick about why kind of participating in Picture the Music, and firstly, like, why I love this program so much. Music can make us feel different emotions, and part of our development and our growth is really learning how to name those emotions and recognize those emotions within us. And music is a great tool for that. Also, art is a great tool for that. Music is a great tool for regulating our emotions too. And through this, you can kind of talk about how music can make us feel differently. And I mean, I don't know anyone else here, but today I was having like a mini panic attack this morning with all the things I was thinking about I had to do. And this like podcast came on the radio, and I was like, nope. I'm like, I need music. Like right now, I can't listen to this, NPR podcast right now. I need some music to calm me down and get me centered and grounded. So music is very powerful for regulating our emotions and teaching that, being intentional and teaching that to children, and being able to help them navigate and learn that. This program is great for that. Also, music is a tool to help us express our emotions too. And while the kids aren't necessarily expressing their emotions through music, but they are expressing them through art. And so they have that way and that outlet. So to start learning healthy ways to express our emotions. And then music can really bring people together. First of all, these kids come to the award ceremony with 100 other kids, most of them not from their school. Kids from all over the state and into Illinois participate in this program. So it's really cool to see it bring everybody together. But even further than that, when you start to really dig into a piece of music and really start to listen, music makes us feel one way, but then we can also start to think, well, what was the composer trying to say? What did he feel or she feel? What did they feel? And how, and start to understand our interpretation. And that kind of starts to build empathy in things in the kids when we start to really look at what other people are trying to say and to understand them. And so if you're very intentional with this program and how you implement it, there's a lot to gain from it. It really is not just, let's listen to this piece of music and because, classical music is good for you. And then make a piece of artwork. Like, you can take it a lot further than that. And that's what I love. I gotta call it the hidden curriculum here, right? I mean, on the surface, it looks like it's a let's paint to this music, but it's not let's paint to this music. There's a lot of learning to be had in this program. So the other thing though, too, this is a K-6 program. And a lot of times we think that, like, I don't know, having a music degree, I think I take for granted a lot of times that I can sit and listen to a piece of music, and I know how to sit and listen to a piece of music. But like, if you put a kindergartner in front of a 5-minute piece of music, because let's face it, orchestral music is often long, and finding 5-minute pieces of music is a challenge within itself because that's so short in that genre. It's challenging, and it's something that a kindergartner they need to know about the Olympic reading, so they have something to grasp onto, because asking them to sit and listen to a 5-minute piece of music is a bit ridiculous. So, um, one of the things, um, that I wanted to talk about today and just, walk through are some ways to make it less ridiculous in a way. But some different things that we can really do, to take that big ask and break it down and prepare our students throughout the year to be able to tackle that final project, which is the picture, the music. Like, how do we get ready to really sit and listen to a 5-minute piece of music and be able to create something that expresses ourselves? Um, so we actually just kind of did a workshop with a bunch of teachers, and I am going to try to make it work online, best I can. But I'm going to apologize. Usually I don't like to do things like this where I talk at you, but I think that in this case, a lot of times this is kind of my best way to be able to do this. But we're going to go through a series of activities that I'm going to kind of walk you through. There's different ideas to start breaking down, some of these larger concepts, and larger pieces of music to get kids to feel comfortable and to build confidence, in their abilities. So the first activity we call our rapid fire response game. And I definitely forgot to grab my big dice, but kind of basically we're going to explore music through various art-centered rapid fire improvisations. Okay. Our objectives are to start building confidence in our creative capacity, engaging our active listening skills, and connecting music and emotions on a very basic level. We know that music can make us feel differently, but when you have to start putting that into words, that's a lot, especially for a younger child. So what I would do if we had a big group of people here, and we were face to face, is I would put you all into small groups. Each group would get a big dice. I love those ones we get, like we have a bunch of the dollar store, and you can put different things on every side of the dice. There's my camera. And so on our dice, we would probably put like percussion instruments, make music. Another side might say writing. Another side might say dance or creative movement, or miming could be a side, draw, sculpt, any different creative art form that you can think of that you want to engage your kids. Then we get all the supplies. If drawing is one of them, we probably want to have some colors, right? If creative movement is one, we might want to have some movement props available. If sculpting is one, we're definitely going to want to have, I love that magic model clay, have some of that available. So the kids have access to all that. Supply the kids with the materials, and then each group will roll their die, and it'll come up with a creative way to create or respond to the music, right? So if they draw writing, they're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. If they roll and they get make music, they're going to grab a percussion instrument. After each group has their different way of, they're going to respond to the music. Then as a teacher, I'm going to play a short phrase from a piece of music, a short phrase. Instruct the students to listen. That's all they have to do, listen. I'm talking like 32 counts of music. Have them listen to it. Once the music stops, the teacher continues to clap, or you can take the clave, whatever it is, and keep the beat going for another phrase length. You're an art teacher and you're like, I don't know musical phrases. 32 counts is usually a safe bet. If the kids are very squirrely, and 16 counts will work. It's not necessarily about the length of the phrase, but just giving the students some time to respond, but in a quick way. So once the music stops, the teacher continues to clap for the 32 counts. And that's when the kids are making up their improvisation, whether they're sculpting in those 32 counts, they're creative moving in those 32 counts to what they just heard. But whatever they're doing, they're responding in their own way through the medium they've been given to the music that they just heard. Repeat the activity. Roll the die again. Grab your next supplies. Listen to your next selection of music. Keep the clapping going for that phrase length after the music has stopped. Have the kids do it again. It's supposed to be kind of fast paced. It may get a little silly at times, and that's okay. But really the idea here is, and in between them, you can stop and have them share what they made. I don't necessarily recommend that. It's not about the performance or sharing what they created at this point, right? When we start to share what we've created, there's always that little bit of judgment, that comes back on us. Maybe it's not there, but I think most of us feel it. And that's not what this exercise is about at all. It's about sort of just shaking off any insecurities that we might have about our own creation of things. It's about realizing that just because we create something, it doesn't have to be perfect every time, but it's about that inner self-expression and just, I'm going to say joy because I think this is pretty fun, that can come from the creative process. And ask those students to reflect on their reactions, like at the end of the activity, we go back and ask the students to really reflect on their reactions to the music that they heard and how those reactions influence their creative process. So looking at things like, very simply with our younger kids, how did that music make you feel? Why do we think it made you feel that way? How did the music, in the music, that's a little more advanced one. Let's say like, for example, if you were moving your body, describe how you moved your body. You don't have to show me. I mean, what kind of movements did you use? And you can start building those vocabularies in that way. Have students describe what they created for you. And then make connections back, asking them what in the music made them select those. And of course, the kids have to have the vocabulary to come back. So with our kindergartners, we're sticking with how did it make you feel? Happy, sad, give them some options. But then as they're growing and progressing, you can start to scaffold those questions as you go. And this is something you can do with every grade level at their age, at whatever level they're at. So then after that, one of the things, as we're getting slightly older in our development and we're used to creating, we love to start looking at maybe using feelings maps. I don't know if anyone has used a feelings map before. So feelings maps give us an idea about how we can explore music, or I'm sorry, we explore how music can change emotions over time. Using these, hold on here real quick. All right, so we're working on building confidence in our creative capacity and engaging our active listening skills again, connecting music to emotions, and really starting to illustrate for our students music as a tool for expressing and regulating our emotions. So I'm just can I share real quick? Is that?
Yes. Yes, go right ahead.
I think I shared the right screen.
We see circles
with some numbers
in a circle.
Perfect. So there is this thing called a adjective. What does she call this thing actually? Oh, an adjective circle. And this is not my creation. I think this was a little closer to the original adjective circle. But you can just see that there are a lot of circles. Every circle kind of has sort of an emotion, a feeling in it. And there's a lot of adjectives that kind of match with that emotion and feeling. So most music triggers a variety of emotional responses, especially in orchestral music, right? Lots of different dynamic changes, tempo changes, instrumentation is always changing, and things like that, who's playing when. And so it's an emotional roller coaster. So we like to use an adjective map to kind of track the journey of the music. So each of these, let's see. We're gonna actually kind of listen. If you have a piece of scrap paper, grab that and a pencil. Depending on where your kids are, or where your students are in their development, this particular list that I have up is pretty advanced. There's definitely some SAT words on there that our elementary school kids are not going to know. So I don't recommend using that. But like, here's a version that is kind of pared down. It could be pared down a little bit more. You can also spend some time learning and exploring those vocab words. But we're going to use this little pared down version of it. And I have 3 musical examples for you. Each musical example is pretty short. And after each musical example, we're going to stop and give you 10, 15 seconds. It's not a lot. This is a not let me ponder. This is a make a gut decision and move to the next thing kind of exercise. I'm a ponderer, so I love these kind of exercises because they really take me out of my comfort zone. So composers use music to express many different emotions. We're going to pause between each musical selection so that you can select your adjectives that you think best describe the emotions that you heard or felt in the music. You can choose for each of these 3 parts that we're going to listen to. You can choose as many adjectives as you like. You can write entirely different words that are on this adjective wheel. Do what makes sense to you. The beauty of this, there are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. There's just your answer. This is about how you perceive the music. All right, and if I had all of you with me, I would have given you all a copy of this map. I give you a pencil. The thing I like to do is I like to put like circle my first adjectives, right? And then when we listen to the second selection, I like to draw a line to wherever my second group of adjectives are that I really liked or what I want to circle. And then I'll circle those like a line to the next adjective, a line to the next. So it kind of creates this like actual visual map that I can follow with my finger about where we're going and how the music is changing emotionally as I perceive it. But in this case, you can number a paper 1, 2, 3 and make yourself some notes. I like to put numbers in my circle, so I'll be like circle 6. And then I think, is it happy, merry, joyous, cheerful, bright? I think this music was cheerful. But then the next thing I listened to, oh, it was very sad, very longing. Like it just wanted more. All right. So let's do a little listen here. Let me share my, well, I have to stop sharing for a second because I didn't set everything up right the first time. My apologies. Share my sound. Back to our adjective circle. All right. And we're going to start. There we go. On the right music would be good. I thought I had that up. Nope, that is not the right piece. There it is. And we're going to start at. My apologies. That is not the right music. That was not an orchestral piece. Is it? Yes, I'm on the right album, Spotify. That's the piece I want. And we're going to start in the middle of this piece. And we'll listen to 3 sections of it. All right, here's our first section. section 2. And actually, I'm going to stop it there. Give you a few seconds. So those were two very contrasting sections right back next to each other. And the first question I would ask is, did you feel the shift, any kind of shift in emotion from section 1 to section 2?
Yes, I did. I'd
Me
say the
too.
the first one was more like dance and happy, and I wanted to shake my body and it was fun. And then the next one, the shift was, it was more relaxing, calmer, a little slower. I mean, there was some elements of fun, but it just made you want to sit and listen, not want to get up and dance. It was just softer.
So one of the next questions I would have asked was, who wants to share how they mapped their emotions? And that was a great example of that. And I'm curious, did anyone have a similar experience?
Yes. So I wrote down for the first one, circle 7. So it sounded dramatic and passionate, kind of a little bit frenzied. And then circle 4 for number 2, it was a lot more relaxed, and I thought maybe lyrical, very laid back, easygoing, and I could feel that shift within myself. So I thought that was interesting.
I love that. And the next question I would ask after that is, we all experience music differently. Did anyone map theirs differently? If anyone would like to share, we can keep moving.
Yeah, I hopped back and forth between 7 and 8 for the first piece. And then when it shifted to the second, I was in more of the majestic and awe-inspiring place.
For the second part?
For the second example.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think I had more like the sentimental, but I was thinking nostalgic.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Wow.
And if I can just interject, one of the things that I enjoy about this type of activity is when I hear Elena's response, then it affects me. You know, then I'm like viewing it from a different perspective, and it changes it. And then it's like, oh, I want to hear it again now. And I want to hear it through that way, or through Margaret's way.
Thank you, Phyllis. And then that's like a huge part too of understanding others and starting to build empathy and understanding of other people and other people's experiences. And we did it right there through music. And the other question I would ask too is, like, did you wonder anything while you were listening? Ponder that for a while, especially with little younger kids. Do they wonder anything? I mean, golly, you'll get all kinds of related and unrelated answers to that question, but it's a lot of fun. So with this kind of activity, we broke the music down into small pieces, right? We chunked it. It's much easier to start. You could have used 1 or 2 of those chunks at some point during the rapid fire. And of course, this is the piece that we're using for music, Picture the Music next year. And you can follow up with this activity too. This is great, but this sets us up perfectly if you have any kind of writing that you're doing in your class, right? So all of a sudden now you have like, this part feels this way, this part feels this way, this part I describe this way. Now, what kind of storyline can you create with that? Or story arc can you create through that? Because a story is going to have, you know, your character's going to have different feelings, different things are going to happen to them throughout. And so this kind of sets you up to start building a story, which is what our Express the Music program was. That is coming back in another year or two. Even bigger and better. You can use this kind of map to help you create your artwork. Using open-ended questions to help guide your students towards coming up with what these visual representation will look like that they're actually going to put on their canvas. Or just allow your students to pick one aspect of this emotional journey that you just went on to respond directly to that one aspect rather than the entire piece. That's also amazing. To follow up with this then, too, I think you're starting to get ready to actually create, to look at the bigger picture of the whole piece and how it comes together and what that is. And we highly recommend, you know, listening to the music. See how I can sum this up pretty quick. Playing that entire piece without pausing. And then when it's over, give your students time to just create for a short period. Don't expect the masterpiece, like the rapid fire, but extended at this point a little bit longer, giving them more time to start sorting through their emotions and their feelings and like what they're going to put on their canvas. Or maybe you're not doing art. I mean, it could be any medium that you decide to do with your kids, where they're writing a play about the piece or anything like that. And again, coming back to some of the different reflection questions that we've already talked about. When you're using music in your classroom, no matter how you use the music in your classroom, it's important to return to the same music multiple times. And I can't stress that enough. Music exists in time. It's not like painting, where you can stand in front of a painting as long as you want to essentially take it all in, to digest it, to really experience and respond to it. But because music is a finite period of time, sometimes we can't all react in the same or respond in the same amount of time. So coming back to that, coming back to the same piece of music is really important. Every time you listen, you become more familiar with it and you start to notice new things. And the last thing I just kind of want to throw out there real quick, think about when you listen to music the most. Music teachers, not really, we listen to music like all the time and in class, but think about when you listen to music the most. I'm curious what some of your answers are.
In the car. I listen in the car a lot.
Me too.
Same.
Cleaning the house, doing yard work. We have my
Certain kinds of music do not help me clean the house. I'm just saying.
When I'm walking, fitness,
yep.
so something more upbeat.
Mm-hmm. While doing the laundry and things like that.
Yeah.
Folding laundry, definitely.
So really, it sounds like a lot of us, myself included, listen to music while we're doing other things. And that's exactly what our students are doing too, right? They're learning from their parents, and their parents are probably having music on in the car. They probably have it on when they're cleaning the house or doing stuff like that. Maybe kids listen to music while they're doing their homework, things like that. So really, actually, we become very passive listeners in a lot of ways, and we become trained to be passive listeners. It's just our society. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love a good song while I'm working. However, I think as part of this program and just a part of being any kind of teacher, an art teacher, a music teacher, we have the ability to come back to mindful listening and to taking time to do that as well. Every other activity I've given you has kind of put the kid on edge just a little bit, right? They know when that music ends, they're gonna have to do something about it or something like this. But this is clearly start short. Get those kids deep breathing. We're gonna think about how we feel. We're gonna notice our bodies. What is our physiological reaction, emotional reaction, our thoughts, whatever pops into our heads. And not necessarily we have to stop all the thoughts, and like meditate. No, no, no. I mean, but just follow your body, follow your mind where it goes. That's great. And then we're going to reflect on that. And I think the mindful part in bringing that into this program is really important and a great opportunity to do that. And starting in small chunks, starting when kids are young and just building. And it's a great way to bring in the vocabulary to down the road for social emotional and music. And it's great. So I'm going to skip past that. But having kids think about, what was it like for them to listen to the piece? Did their emotions shift? How did they shift? How did their bodies respond? How did their minds respond? Honestly, just like how did it feel to really listen to the music? These are some great questions to start pondering with the kids. And again, I love asking, do they wonder anything about what they just experienced? Preparation for PTM can start at the beginning of the school year. Even though our work isn't usually due until January of each year. And we highly recommend just starting with like short 5-minute active listening exercises to prepare them for the larger projects. I mean, if you spend 5 minutes a week just on small listening and things, they'll be ready to tackle it by the time you get past winter break or right before winter break. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of, and not only are you preparing them for picture the music, but you're giving them a new tool to put in their tool belt. I think that's really important, especially, well, I say especially now in today's, it's always been important. Honestly, I wish someone had taught me to relax and be mindful when I was younger. I didn't learn that until I was an adult. And it would have helped me. So we're teaching students to be mindful, to use music and art as tools for emotional regulation and self-expression, and we're providing them with valuable listening skills. So next year's piece, which we haven't announced yet, is Arturo, so you all know the first, it's Arturo Marquez's Conga del Fuego. There's an awesome recording of it with, oh my gosh, Gustavo Dudamel, and I believe the youth orchestra that he conducts. It's beautiful. It's such a great piece. So I hope all the kids will really enjoy it. It's also featured on our dance party education concerts, which we're doing at Lindenwood University and at the University of Missouri St. Louis. So 2 places to catch us this year while Powell Hall is under renovation. So yeah, just to sum up real quick, Picture the Music really is about engaging with music on your own terms in your own way, so that you can make meaningful connections with the music. And at the end of the day, like that's really what orchestral music and music in general is all about. So thank you for listening to my spiel.
Jessica, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing that. I want to invite anyone who's on the call who has any further questions to just feel free to unmute and allow Jessica to hear them. And while you are thinking about that, I think what I'm struck with so much that I'm enjoying about hearing you speak about Picture the Music, having been a participant when I was a classroom music educator and partnered with my art teacher, is that the students really struggled to go from what I'm now describing as the ability to take in the music and process it and then generate a creative product. And the fact that your suggestions today are kind of breaking that down into little pieces about vocabulary building and just a tiny little taste of, okay, here's what I interpret. Not that not that I'm producing a work of a second, I'm translating that, jumping all the way to the translation to put it into another art media, but that I'm just doing some reflective processing and I'm listening to somebody else hear and experience the same piece and listening to their expressive processing. I feel like that if only I knew then what I know now, that I would have some great takeaways from this for working with my students. So thank you.
Huh.
Jessica, you had stated that we would be bringing back the poem and prose music program. Do we know when we're bringing that back, which I'm very excited about?
Yeah, hold on, let me Rolodex my brain, make sure I get the years right. I think fall of 2025 is our goal. So not next school year, but the school after. We're in the process of figuring out what Express the Music is going to become. I can't imagine that the writing portion of it is going to disappear. But I think that we're looking at more of an expanded concept of what it means to express the music. And all the different ways that we can. So yeah.
Meaning to express the music beyond the written word, that it can be expressed in other ways. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it still going to be around the same age groups of like middle school, high school?
100%.
Very exciting to hear that. And I love that even though it's not revealed like in its entirety, what a fabulous writing prompt to allow music to be the catalyst for the creation of an internal story arc. And I mean, teachers want kids who are engaged in expressive writing in particular to create those story arcs. Music does it for you. And taking it in tiny little pieces where it doesn't have to be an epic novel. It can literally be a 3-sentence paragraph and let the music guide them through that process is just really powerful.
Yeah. Express Music is definitely, it was a great program. It is a great program. We did find that it wasn't quite the most equitable, and accessible program for everybody. And so that's why it is kind of undergoing some modifications and things right now, to make sure that we can get everybody that wants to participate participating in it. But
Yeah. Both these programs are a great example of the Alliance's commitment to arts integration, to arts across the curriculum. So we're thrilled to see that we're going to have a 2.0 for Express the Music.
yep.
Any other questions or comments for Jessica before we close today?
I just wanted to say thank you. I know I got on late because I had something come up that interfered. But this has been very useful and I appreciate you giving the talk.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. This was helpful.
I want to say thank you to Jessica, of course, for being our presenter today, and also to all of you for coming, giving up. Now it's raining where I am. I told you how beautiful and sunny it was. Giving up some of your time to be with us today and explore this. And I would like to say I will see you next time at our next FAME session, but I will invite you to come to some of our other professional learning opportunities because our FAME sessions are going to be on hiatus for the next school year. We, like Express the Music, are going to take some reflection time to see how we can best meet the needs of our constituency. So we plan to continue offering. They're going to start at 5:30 instead of 4:30, moving forward into fiscal year 25. So next school year, join us for our Missouri Arts Integration Network sessions, our main events, and then also our Inclusion, Diversity, Equity in the Arts sessions. We're going to host 9 of them next year instead of 27 of them like we did the last 2 years. And what we learned is we just didn't have enough time in between to do adequate marketing and trying to help people understand what what is happening. And I was reflecting on Jessica's statements about different dynamics at the beginning of the session. Once you make the changes, you still have to find time to tell people, to invite, to help them know what's happening. So if anyone has suggestions, want to get you connected with Dr. Cynthia Williams Phelps, who's kind of taking this year to examine our practice so that we can best meet the needs of the community moving forward. And is that first session in August, Cynthia, for our first main event? Do you have the date off the top of your head?
I don't, but it
I
is in August and it will be our IDEA session.
Yes. Okay. Well, please check your email messages and check our MAAE newsletter, and plan to join us for some of those next year. And again, thank you everyone for being part of today's session. Jessica, thanks for presenting, and y'all enjoy the rest of a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.